This is Mac OS Ken.
Good news in the UK for Apple. A troubling story of an imitation Threads app. And actors hit the picket line. It is Friday, the 14th of July, 2023. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from Mac OS Ken. Brought to you by yours truly and sponsored by Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kit. Use code MacOSKen50 at factormeals.com/MacOSKen50 for 50% off. This show is also sponsored by Issue, the all-in-one platform to create and distribute beautiful digital content. But the digital publications you're putting out kind of stuck in a rut? Give them new life with Issue. Magazines, newsletters, catalogs. Issue lets you turn those into interactive digital publications and social posts for everyone across a number of platforms. Embed the content on your site, convert it into easy-to-read articles for mobile, send it out to your mailing list, or hit your people up on the socials. With Issue, you can create once and share everywhere. And here's another cool thing. Issue helps you hit the platforms you're trying to reach with the tools you're already familiar with, folding seamlessly with Dropbox, MailChimp, InDesign, and others. Get started with Issue today for free, or sign up for an annual premium account and get 50% off when you go to issue.com/podcast and use promo code MacOSKen. That's ISSUU.com/podcast and use promo code MacOSKen at checkout for your free starter account or 50% off an annual premium account. That's issue.com/podcast with promo code MacOSKen. Interesting news about Apple retail in the UK. Apple Insider cites a report from The Telegraph that says Apple stores in the United Kingdom have more than rebounded since the 2020 closures caused by the pandemic. According to the report, Apple UK retail revenue was $1.83 billion in 2019, pre-pandemic. Apple UK retail revenue was $1.27 billion in 2020, the year the pandemic hit, and Apple UK retail revenue was $1.96 billion in 2022. The Telegraph says that is a record for Apple sales in the United Kingdom. It ascribes the growth to two factors: post-lockdown demand and a spate of iPhone upgrades driven by 5G. Of course, the question both The Telegraph and Apple Insider ask is, what will you have done for me lately, later? The Apple Insider piece seems to expect retail revenue for 2023 to fall in the UK, given the higher price there of the iPhone 14 line. The 2022 numbers only run through September of that year, meaning sales for Apple's latest phones would barely show up. Then again, the company's got a couple of swanky new stores in London as well. Apple Insider points that out, so I guess where they end on how it's going to do is pass. Staying in the land of His Royal Majesty's subjects, a piece from Mac Rumors says Tap to Pay is a go for UK. Apple says it has turned the feature on, making it possible for independent sellers, small merchants, and large retailers in the country to use iPhones as payment terminals. Launched just under a year and a half ago in the States, Mac Rumors says Tap to Pay allows compatible iPhones to accept payments via Apple Pay, contactless credit and debit cards, and other digital wallets using only an iPhone. No additional hardware or credit card machine required. Two platforms, Revolut and Till by NatWest, are already on board. A number of others are on the way, including Stripe, Dojo, and MyPOS, which is a horrible name until you remember that sometimes that stands for point of sale. Tap to Pay on iPhone will also roll out to Apple Store locations in the UK in the coming weeks, according to the report. News that seems like it can't really be news out of Russia. A piece from Apple Insider has Russian App Store users complaining that they cannot use or subscribe to Final Cut Pro or Logic Pro for iPad. In March 2022, the piece says, Apple halted all sales through its online storefront in Russia after Russia's invasion of Ukraine. I guess I just kind of assumed that meant that App Store was going away as well, or would at some point. Maybe this is that. On Thursday, the piece says, Russian App Store users began reporting that they could no longer subscribe to Apple's new Logic Pro and Final Cut Pro for iPad, which released in May. Additionally, users have reported that Apple has terminated existing user subscriptions and has begun refunding users who have already paid. No free trials either, according to a report from iPhones.ur. That's apparently for people who have already downloaded the applications. Apple Insider says both the apps are now missing from the Russian App Store. Apple's back-to-school sales promotions have gone live in Asia, Europe, the UK, and the Middle East. Apple's Shopping for School promo launched in early June here in the States, followed by a late June launch for Canada and Mexico. Now a piece from 9to5Mac says buyers in the UK and Europe are eligible for gift cards up to €150, 130 pounds in the United Kingdom, or a free pair of AirPods. Folks in the Middle East and Asia don't have the gift card options, though they are eligible for either a pair of AirPods or AirPods Pro. I guess I really shouldn't say free, since they do require the purchase of select Apple hardware. That hardware includes MacBook Air, MacBook Pro, and iMac for the top end of the gift card AirPods offerings. Lesser bonuses are bundled in with the purchase of a Mac Mini, iPad Air, or iPad Pro, according to the report. 9to5Mac points out that the promo offers are in addition to Apple's existing discounted education pricing and 20% off for Apple Care Plus. More news in a moment, but first a word from Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kit and sponsor of today's show. If the heat's got you thinking that even the microwave is too much, grab lunch to go with Factor. The lunch to go menu offers effortless wholesome meals like grain bowls and salad toppers that are ready to eat when you are. Perfect when time is short or the kitchen is just too hot. No heat, just eat. Of course, they've got those amazing dinners I've told you about too, like the ranch-baked chicken with cheesy broccoli rice and roasted mushrooms, and the broccoli cheddar ground beef. Both of those were great, and both of those were super quick. I do 10 minutes in the oven, but 2 minutes in the microwave would do it too. Super ingredients, super recipes, and super convenient. So what are you waiting for? Head to factormeals.com/macOSKen50 and use code macOSKen50 to get 50% off. That's macOSKen50 at factormeals.com/macOSKen50 to get 50% off. Taste what is made Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kit. Use code macOSKen50 for 50% off at factormeals.com/macOSKen50. How does something like this happen? A piece from TechCrunch says Apple has removed an AI-powered content generator impersonating Meta's Threads app after it shot to the top of the App Store charts. I'm not asking how it could be removed, I'm asking how it could be approved. I mean, nature abhors a vacuum, they say. Apparently would-be social media users do too. Because of questions around its data and privacy policies, Threads is not available in the European Union. Apparently rushing to fill that vacuum, or simply capitalize on it, was an app called Threads for Insta, developed by SocialKit Ltd. According to the report, it was a content generator which let users make posts through AI-powered models. The app was in the top charts in the social media category in countries like Germany, France, Spain, Sweden, and the Netherlands before Apple removed it from the App Store. Germany-based developer duo MOSK first pointed out that this app is climbing charts in many countries. MOSK noted that Apple also suspended the developer account of SocialKit Ltd. And all the apps made by them. But here's the part that I don't get. It's Instagram, or Facebook, or Meta. It's not me or you making an app. I mean, if one of us makes an app and some jerk makes an app impersonating our app, I could see how that impersonation could escape Apple's notice. But Threads kind of made news. It got over 100 million signups already. It's made by Instagram, or Facebook, or Meta. I don't get how this happened. Even the ChatGPT imitations that happened earlier this year made more sense to me because, at the time at least, OpenAI sounded like an idea, not a recognizable brand. Like Instagram, or Facebook, or Meta. Maybe put a sign in everybody's cube. Hey, here's a question. Did the 300,000 people or so thought to have downloaded the app use their Instagram logins and passwords to access the Imitator? Or put differently, did they give away their Instagram credentials to some imitation company? Seriously, how did this happen? CarPlay is likely never heading to Tesla, but it looks like AirPlay might be. A piece from 9to5Mac has the Twitter account Tesla App Updates iOS spotting a change that highlights that possibility, though it's not the first sign. The piece says Tesla CEO Elon Musk tweeted over a year ago that the company would consider such a move. Asked about the possibility, Musk said he would discuss this and other improvements with Tesla Audio Engineering. Over a year later, Twitter's Tesla App Updates iOS says there may be movement. They're not an arm of anything Tesla, by the way. According to the account's Twitter bio, the folks behind it monitor the App Store for any new updates to the Tesla app and also decompile new versions. It's that last part that seems to have shown them something. What it showed them was the string, allows AirPlay for media playback. Of course, it doesn't allow that right now. Still, 9to5Mac says this reference is a very strong indicator that the Wi-Fi-based audio streaming method is very much in the works. And finally today, remember when the pandemic played such havoc with film and TV production that Apple just kept extending the free trial for Apple TV Plus? Yeah, one wonders whether the latest impasse in Hollywood will make that happen again. Either that, or we are in for a lot of overseas content. Dateline Hollywood, where a piece from the Los Angeles Times says actors have joined writers in their strike against the studios, of which Apple is one. According to the report, SAG-AFTRA's National Board of Directors on Thursday voted unanimously to approve a strike action by tens of thousands of Hollywood actors, widening the scope of labor unrest in an entertainment industry that is already facing numerous headwinds. The vote came after negotiations between the Actors Union and the major studios failed to reach an agreement on a new film and TV contract. What the actors want is better pay, better residuals, and answers to how Hollywood plans to deal with AI. What they got was a lot of nothing. Quoting the paper again, despite the last-minute involvement of a federal mediator, the 160,000-member union was unable to secure a deal with the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers, which represents studios in labor dealings. The old collective bargaining agreement expired Wednesday night without a deal in place. Noon yesterday, they voted to strike. That strike was set to start 12 hours later. I'm hedging my bets a tiny bit as this is being written and recorded before midnight. From my vantage point a few hours ago, though, there seems little to no chance of the strike being averted. So what does that mean for Apple TV Plus? Well, quiet on the set. Too quiet. Post-production might continue on shows and movies that have already been shot, though whether any of those unions will be interested seems a legitimate question. The writer's strike that's been going on since May hasn't meant much to studios as a whole, since there was a lot of stuff out there that had already been written. That strike has hit Apple kinda hard, though. The company saw its series adaptation of Fritz Lang's Metropolis cancelled. Costs were running too high, with work still to be done on the script, and no sign of when that work might continue. Production on the second season of the Maya Rudolph comedy series Loot was halted at one point due to protests by writers. Similarly, production on the second season of Severance was stopped. A report from Deadline back in May said WGA members started picketing the New York studio where that show shoots. The International Alliance of Theatrical Stage Employees and the Teamsters, a pair of unions integral to the show's production, refused to cross the WGA picket, putting the brakes on the show. Now, though, anything in production with union actors is stopped. What's more, says a piece from Apple Insider, there's no telling how long these strikes will go on, so there's no way of knowing when production will begin for new films and series for any studio, not just Apple. macOS Ken, brought to you by me and sponsored by Issue. Get 50% off an annual premium account with code macOSKen at issue.com/podcast. This show is also sponsored by Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kit. Use code macOSKen50 at factormeals.com/macOSKen50 for 50% off. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media, online at backbeatmedia.com. You can reach me a couple of ways. Info at macOSken.com or call 716-780-4080. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Ciao.